Hi, I'm Chad. You're watching Squarebody Stuff. Alright, in our last video, we went over how to put these pistons and rods together and install the little spiral locks to lock the floating pins in. This video, we are going to be putting the rings on the pistons, and by the end of this video, these rods and pistons will be in this block. Now I've already got 7 of these guys ready to go. All the rings are installed, ready to go in the block. I've got one I'm going to show you that's clamped in the vise, and I'll show you how I orientate the rings, which is pretty standard stuff. Yeah, nothing fancy here, but I'll go ahead and show you what I do, and we'll install these rings. So what I do is I actually go off the paper and I'll mark the tops of the pistons. That way when I'm sticking them in the vise and putting the rings on, I don't have to think a whole lot. All my thinking is already done. I just got to line up the marks. The rings I'm going to be using, what DSS sent with these, the top ring is a gas nitrated, good ring for power adder. Second ring is a Napier ring. You got the oil control ring package. Now this one has an extra ring that goes with that. I got it kind of goofed up here. And this guy here, and it is a oil rail support ring, and I'll show you what we do with that real quick. Since these pistons have the pin boss that goes into the lower ring land, the oil control ring land, it needs a rail or support to go on the bottom of that to support that lower oil ring. Because if it didn't have this in there, that lower oil ring would be able to float up and down and possibly bend and cause some problems. So I'll be installing that one first, and then my oil control rings, second ring and top ring. Now for this oil ring support rail, it has a little dimple there, and that needs to go inside where your pin boss is. It doesn't matter which side, but you want to make sure that that goes in that hole where your pin goes through, just to keep it from spinning around and the ends getting to that pin boss. And I'll start this guy. Sliding it around, and to keep it from scraping the piston, I'll put a little screwdriver there. There we go. No scraping the piston. I'll use the screwdriver to pull it down where it needs to be. Make sure that your dimple's in that pin boss, and we're good to go there. Next, we'll install our expander ring, which it will line up with the gap of it will line up with your top ring. Now I don't know, one quick thing is, as far as which way you install it, upside down or something like that, I don't really know if there's a correct way. I've just always installed them with the tangs pointing down. I really don't think it matters either way on this, but that's just kind of what I've always done. Alright, get that guy in there. Next will be your lower oil control ring. I got that marked there, and the gap will be on this one for the other one. Get it started. Work your way around the lower part of that expander. Go to the next one. Same thing, just curl it around. You don't need to use the tool for this. Double check your gaps, make sure they're where you want them. Now we'll move on to our second ring. Now this ring does have a step in it and a dot. Depending on your ring manufacturer, what kind of indicator you'll have to know which is the top. if there's any type of an indicator, a dot or a number or letter, it depends on your ring manufacturer, the indicator is always goes to the top. Now here's where some people do it different. I've done it both ways. You could either use the tool like this, or you could spiral it around. Now, all of your piston ring manufacturers will say, do not spiral them around your piston. I've had a lot of old timers that have been doing it for a lot longer than I've been alive, that spiral them around and win a lot of races in circle track or drag racing, whatever. But the correct way, per book, per the manufacturer, is to use an expander tool, and there's nothing wrong with it. But you just don't want to stretch it out any more than what you have to get it over your piston. Alright, we're in our groove. Second ring's lined up with our second ring mark. We'll move on to our top ring. Top ring, same thing. It'll either have a dot or some sort of marking that lets you know which is the top. If it doesn't have a mark, more than likely it could go either direction. If you're not sure, consult your manufacturer to make sure you install them correctly. It also helps, which I didn't do it on that second ring, and it was grabbing just a little bit, but line the inside edge of your ring up with have it sticking out just a little past your tool. That way you don't have to open it up quite as much to get it over your piston. Alright, there we go. Dots are up. Dots are up. Gaps are where I want them. And that's pretty much all there is to installing your piston rings. Now, after making sure everything's wiped off and good and clean, let's take a good clean rag and some fresh engine oil. Put it on my rag and coat all the cylinders with a nice coat of oil. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to just do the number 2 cylinder live action, explain everything to you, what I'm doing as far as getting it lubed up and getting it installed in the cylinder. And then I'll just go to the time lapse. Feel free to fast forward through the time lapse or skip forward. Doesn't bother me a bit. I just want you guys to enjoy the video and hopefully learn something. For lubing the bearings up, I use this Lucas assembly lube. It's got some zinc additive to it, and it's pretty sticky. I've had really good luck with it, used it for a long time. Good stuff to use. That's what I put on the bearings. Now on the rings themselves, I'll just use regular engine oil. I've got a non-detergent 30 weight oil that I put on there. Back in the day when my dad showed me how to do this, he'd just have a tub full of oil, and when he got the rings and ready to go, the bearings lubricated, he just dipped that whole piston in the tub. Of course, that would lubricate the wrist pin and everything, but it did make kind of a mess. With this application, my wrist pins are already lubed since we assembled them in the last video. They've got plenty of lubrication right now with this assembly lube, so really all I'm worried about is getting the skirts lubed up and the rings lubed up. I'm going to try to make it as least messy as possible. So I use a little squirt can with some fresh oil in it. Now for the bolts, which this has got the bolts instead of the studs like a normal factory style big end would have. But either way, I use some of this good fastener lubricant from ARP. Really good stuff. Most of your fasteners come with a little flat packet of it, and when I get those, I just squeeze them out into this so it stays fairly full. So that's how I lubricate my bolts. Now if we have a standard rod with the stud sticking out of it, you'll want to have something on your studs to protect your crankshaft and to help guide your rod down onto your crankshaft. I always just use a piece of 3/8 fuel line Now these are 7/16. If you have a bigger bolts, like a big block, have 7/16 bolts on it. Use the proper size line to fit over it. They make all sorts of installation tools, but I'm cheap. I just use these 3/8 fuel lines and kind of stagger them like that, where they're kind of pointed out. Guides right over the rod and works out really good. All right, before we move any further, make sure your hands are clean, make sure everything's clean, and then we start lubing everything up and get it in that block. Get a good dab of your assembly oil. Make sure to coat your bearing surface real good. I try not to get any on the parting line. I want to keep those dry. When I install the bearings in the cap and the rod, they're dry underneath. Also make sure you get the sides of the rod, or we'll be meeting the crankshaft and the other rod. Now I get my bolts lubricated. You don't want to get too carried away with this. Just a nice little coat. Now to install the pistons in the block, I've used one of these style for a long time. It's got a deal there, tool to tighten it down. You set this over your piston, you get it tightened down. You don't want to squeeze it too tight, and then set it down on your block, drive it in. Works really good. Never really had any issues with it, but I wanted to try something different, get a little fancier tool for this. So I'll show you what I got. Summit Racing had these, and they make them for they fit a range of different bore sizes, and you just adjust it by this. You can set it, pretty much forget it, and install all of them without having to clamp and unclamp something. Another style I've used, which I don't have anymore, is I can't remember exactly what they call them, but they're kind of a corrugated expander type clamp thing that clamps around. It's got a little red handle. Those work great too. A little cumbersome sometimes. But I'm gonna try this guy out, see how I like it. I've never used it before, so we'll try it right now. And if I don't like it, I'll just go back to the good old standby that I've used for a long time and know I get along with. But we're gonna try this thing out. So I'm not sure if you can see, but it is tapered. It's got a lip at the bottom. This is the wider part. This will be the part that sits on your block, and this is the side that you'll slide the piston down into. We'll need to get it fit for the piston. So what I'm going to do is have my vise ready. Try to get this thing set up. I know the camera angle ain't the best. Go ahead and get it started. Sit down on my vise and then figure this thing out. Alright, I just got it snug enough where it'll slide in and out pretty easily. And I think that should be good. I think I've got everything staged up. We'll lube this piston up. And it wouldn't hurt to put a little extra lube on the wrist pin. And I kind of work the rings around a little bit. Make sure the oil's down in the groove good. Double check my ring gaps, make sure they're where I want them. Now we're ready to install this in the block. Now before I go stick my piston in there, I've got my crankshaft at top dead center for this piston. That way the rod is closest to the crankshaft. Slide it down in there nice and easy. We'll see how this new tool works. And make sure you're good and square. That worked out pretty slick. Now at this point you can go ahead and get your rod cap started and all that stuff. I like to push down on the piston, get at the bottom of the stroke where that rod cap and everything is easy to reach. Then I'll get my cap on, get it started, and get my bolts finger tight. I might put just a little bit of torque on them, but I won't torque them down until I get all of them in, and I'll flip it over and torque all of them at once. While I'm here, I'll go ahead and get number 4 up to top dead center. And then just continue on the same process till I get all of them in. Then we'll roll it over, torque down the main cap, or torque down the rod caps. And we'll have 8 pistons and rods in this block, finally. Well, we're at least able to get the rods and pistons all in the block. So we've pretty much got a short block together, and then the rain set in, as you could probably hear. And it's hard to do video when you got rain like this, so I'm gonna end this off. So stay tuned for my next video, because I didn't get the rod bolts torqued down. Well, I'm not going to torque these rod bolts. I'm going to use a stretch gauge and stretch the rod bolts. If you're interested in learning how to do that, stay tuned for my next video. I'll make a kind of a short and sweet video on how to check your rod bolt stretch versus your rod bolt torque. And as always, I appreciate you guys watching. Your views, your likes, shares, subscribes, all that stuff means the world to me. Yeah, we're gonna end this off. It's just getting louder and louder. So until next time, y'all keep your square bodies rolling, and we'll catch you later.